Welcome, my name's Doctor Warrick Bishop. I'm a cardiologist, I'm an author and a keynote speaker. I'm CEO of the Healthy Heart Network. I'm all about trying to help people live as well as possible for as long as possible. Heart disease is huge in Australia. Every 20 minutes someone suffers a heart attack. Most of these could probably have been avoided if only we knew what to do. This podcast is all about helping you understand blood pressure, weight, cholesterol for better health. If you enjoy this podcast, I would be honoured for a 5-star review. You can share it with your family and friends. It may well save someone you love. Hi, my name's Dr. Warrick and thank you for joining me on my podcast and videocast station. As always, I am grateful if you find that you are putting your valuable time to sharing some of the information I'm putting out there. Today, I've got a guest from the other side of the world. I'm very grateful that we found the time to make this happen. And it's from my own experience that I've chased this gentleman down. The person I've got is Jim Poole, who is the CEO of an organization, a business called NuCalm. Jim's background is psychology and business. But NuCalm is a little bit different. So I'm going to welcome Jim and we're going to talk a little bit about it. Hi, Jim. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, Warrick. Thanks for having me. Hello, everybody down under. I am on the other side of the earth. I'm in Tampa, Florida, USA.
I think this technology is fantastic and allows us to have connectivity around the world. So we're Zooming, we're recording, and I think it's just such a cool thing to do. So look, NuCalm is an app that I came across when I was at a Tony Robbins event recently. And the reason I was intrigued was because there was a demonstration area where they were giving people the chance to have a 20-minute session to recharge and really generate, if you like, the equivalent of 2 hours sleep. Now, for anyone who's gone to a Tony Robbins event listening, you know that he stays up all night. So 20 minutes to get 2 hours sleep is you would pay a premium for. Everyone drags themselves around at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And for those who don't know anything about Tony Robbins, these are extraordinary conferences, gatherings, events where they really do run with a high intensity and run a long time. So if you can grab a bit of time and recharge, it's a fantastic thing. I had a go. I was taken by the energy I got. But what I'd like to do, Jim, is open it for you and let you explain what was that I was experiencing. I mean, there's headphones, you have your eyes covered. I even got a little dot on my wrist. So maybe unpack that so that the people who are listening who think I'm completely crazy understand what I did.
It doesn't mean you're not crazy. This isn't mutually exclusive. However, I will tell people, welcome to the Matrix. So we're a neuroscience company, and for more than 36 years, we have been discovering, inventing, clinically proving, validating, and bringing to the world a method that humans can modulate the frequency of your brainwave. Now, most people don't understand what that means. We should know, but we don't. So let me explain this to you. Every human, all 8.4 billion of us, have a brain. And in our brain, we have a frequency range. That frequency range is 41 hertz. Delta, theta, and alpha are slow waveforms in sleep. Beta and gamma are faster frequencies. Now here's what's fascinating, Warrick. Your mood, your thought, and your behavior is directly correlated to the frequency of your brain at all times. It's math. It's simple. When your brain is at 1 hertz, we know what you're doing. You're in dreamless-like deep sleep. When your brain's at 4 hertz, we know what you're doing. You're in a lucid dream state where your body is healing and restoring. When your brainwave is at 10 hertz, we know what you're doing. You're in a creative state where you're falling into sleep. Then comes beta. Beta is faster frequency. 15 to 20 hertz is the learning zone. There's a frequency associated with learning. Then above that frequency, 20 to 25 is stress, fear, worry, agitation, distraction, impatience. 25 to 30 is a lot more of the same. So when we think through this, when we feel agitated, when we feel impatient or distracted, it makes sense because our frequency is going fast, our breath is shallow, and the key areas of our brain are not getting enough oxygen. So that is the landscape.
Let me jump in there momentarily, because some people will be listening and thinking, well, how on earth do you know what the frequency of your brain is? And if I can speak to that just momentarily, because it's a great question, many people listening to this will be familiar with me being a cardiologist and putting dots on the chest. And those dots on the chest are electrodes that pick up the electrical signal of the heart, if you like, the frequency of the heart. Well, there is a device called an EEG, an electroencephalo for brain, an electroencephalograph, where little electrodes are planted on the brain, and that picks up the brain wave frequency. So what you're talking about, Jim, is all completely measurable and validated with these tools that are applied to the brain but work almost identically to what we use for an ECG to evaluate the heart. Thought I'd jump in there. Sorry about that, but I hope that clarifies it for some people.
So a lot of our research was done using EEG and quantitative EEG. Mm-hmm. So here's how this all kind of plays out. Dr. Holloway was a neuroscientist, quantum physicist. He was a Rhodes Scholar at Oxford. He studied philosophy at the Sorbonne University. And to me, in my life, 57 years on this earth, I'd never met an individual as intellectually capable as Dr. Holloway. In fact, we have 52 medical advisors, NASA mathematicians, statistical biophysicists at Harvard. We've got some really high-end human beings. I think Blake was collectively smarter than all of them combined. He was a freak. He had a hypothesis. What if I could help people with trauma, complex trauma and addiction, by modulating, dialing their brainwave frequency and holding them at 4 hertz? Because at 4 hertz, we know that the body is healing and restoring. The mitochondria is being restored, and the cells are cleaning their toxins and doing your cellular maintenance. This is the restorative, recuperative power of sleep. So it took him 19 years, Warrick, to figure this out. Now, trust me, Blake was a genius amongst geniuses. He wasn't lazy. He wasn't incapable. But the complexity of the brain, specifically the reticular activating system, demands a complex solution. If you're going to trick my brain, you better bring some complex stuff. So he figured out. He built a software. This software has pitch and frequency matrices. It has nonlinear oscillating algorithms. It has isochronic waveforms and binaural signal processing. It's 250 megabytes to 3 gigabytes of math and physics, designed to present your brain with precise signals that your brain synchronizes to. Now here's what's cool, Warrick. You can't hear any of it. It's inaudible to the human ear. So on top of the physics, the software, we compose specific music. You hear nice music. We're using your ears to carry a signal to your brain. And like a metronome or a thermostat, when you came into that room and there was 23 NuCalm stations and the people coming in, I called it the zombie apocalypse. People were crawling in, man. They were wiped out. We put a headphone on and an eye mask, and within 4 minutes, your brain was at 4 hertz. For the next 14 minutes, you were healing. And in that healing response, Warrick, we were oxygenating your frontal lobe, your prefrontal and frontal cortex. So when you got up from just 20 minutes, even though you were exhausted, you felt really good because your body had this incredible, intense, restorative experience with no effort. You didn't do anything. You just laid down.
So the amazing thing for me here, Jim, and for those listening, I'll quickly touch on this concept of reticular activating system. That's, if you like, um, the primitive brain to a large degree, which drives our fight and flight, our sympathetic fight and flight response versus our rest and digest parasympathetic response. So it's a very low and primitive part of the brain. What's really interesting for me, Jim, is obviously this is the area where some of these brain waves are modulated or defined, and that makes sense because it's that primitive part of the brain. But what you touched on were these complex stimuli that we don't even hear. So how are they having an impact if we're not even hearing them? How does that work?
Binaural signal processing is tricking your brain by presenting disparate frequencies in each ear. But you can't hear 4 hertz. It's inaudible to the human ear. Now your pets can. Cats and dogs and horses can hear all the stuff we're doing. But we're using the auditory motor cortex to bring signals underneath the music. And the brain sees the difference and says, wait a second. It's a fascinating compensation aspect of the human brain. If I wanted to pace your brain at 4 hertz, I might present 506 hertz in my right ear and 502 hertz in my left ear.
Yeah, okay.
When the brain gets those signals, it says, wait a second, these are asynchronous.
Yep.
It subtracts the difference. That's how we're doing it. And the reticular activating system piece, which is really foundational to why NuCalm is so powerful, the reticular activating system also is the perfected filtration system. It's taking all the information from all 5 senses and it's looking for patterns. And once it finds the patterns, it finds shortcuts.
So in fact, in my simple understanding, and perhaps for those listening, in fact, the brain is hearing all the signals, but the signals are arranged in such a way that they guide the brain into the wave form or the pattern that you're looking for. So you're actually hearing it. You are actually hearing it, but what you're not hearing is that slight offset synchrony, or you're not hearing the frequency so that you're really being guided down that path by those stimuli. That's fabulously clever. And presumably that means you can wind people up, help them focus, and you can wind people down. Is that?
That's a great point. So Warrick, November 5th, 2009, we launched NuCalm into a surgeon's office in Chicago, Illinois. We understand that at 4 hertz, your brain is still capable of being aware of your surroundings, but you're in such deep parasympathetic nervous system dominance that you don't care, okay? So we started doing surgeries, replacing general anesthesia. No necessity to compromise my central nervous system with a benzodiazepine. Put me in this state like you were at Tony Robbins, wheel me into the operatory and operate on me. That's how we started. That was 4 hertz. It took us 8 minutes to take the patient to 4 hertz. We held you at 4 hertz for the duration of the surgery, and then when you were done, we brought you back up to 15 hertz. We did this for 2,700,000 surgeries. So imagine being in a hospital and watching a surgery, and they're wearing an eye mask and a headphone, and you know what they're doing and they're being operated on. Not only are we reducing pre-operatory stress, we're reducing peri-operatory stress, we're reducing post-operatory stress, and we're facilitating faster healing because stress modulated is basically creating all the pain and the inflammation. So it was in 2016 that I was with Dr. Holloway witnessing a surgery, and it never got old. It always felt like magic to me. But I'd say, you know what? If we can do this to a human brain that's clearly in a state of acute crisis and anxiety, can we take that same brain and put them to sleep at 0.5 hertz? Can we take that same brain and put it to 7.83 hertz creativity? Can we take that same brain and put it to 18.4 hertz focus? Can we take that same brain and put it to 41 hertz peak performance? So from 2016 to 2021, we did two incredible things. Number one, we successfully transitioned from a $6,000 4-component FDA Class 3 medical device to a mobile app. Never been done before. Number two, we went from one product that we call Rescue that takes you to 4 hertz, and we created 6 products that take you the entire range of that 41 hertz. So today we have Deepest Sleep and Deepest Sleep Plus. That takes your brain to 0.5 hertz. We have Rescue and Power Nap. That takes your brain to the healing zone of 4 hertz. We have Flow State. That takes your brain to 7.83 hertz. We have Focus. That takes your brain to 18.4 hertz. We have Priming. That takes your brain to 40 hertz. And we have Ignite, which takes your brain to 41 hertz. So we figured out the method and the math, and then we simply altered the outcome and built all the physics and created this access point for you and me and anybody with NuCalm. I can modulate my frequency with a headphone and a mobile app. I can go up to 41 hertz and elevate. Tony Robbins and I trained the Golden State Warriors together and the Washington Capitals together. They both went on to win world championships. We took those trainings, we put it on top of our physics in Ignite, and we elevated your brain. We started using this with elite military warfighters and 78 professional sports teams. But Tony, before he goes on stage, headphones backstage, is jumping up and down, listening to those tracks that we collaborated on together. So you can go up, you can go down, you can recover, you can get into focus.
So this is, for those listening, you might think this is almost science fiction. It almost sounds too good to be true. What I can offer is my own experience. And the reason I chased Jim down is, in fact, I did use a rescue protocol, and did make it through the Tony Robbins event, which was long, and I was amazed at how I cope with that because I love my sleep. One of the fantastic people who was helping at the NuCalm stand recommended that I look to use the Restore recovery protocol looped on my flight back to Australia. That was a 17-hour flight from Dallas Fort Worth to Melbourne. In 17 hours, I got to see a movie, sleep for 12 hours and watch another movie. I got back into Australia about 5 o'clock in the morning, which was the 31st of December. I had a quick restore at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon and watched and was present for 2026 coming and arriving, and basically haven't looked back. I've been blown away by just how I felt by using this technology, Jim. Extraordinary.
It is extraordinary. And of course, we're going to be skeptical. To me, when I first was introduced to this 17 years ago, I didn't understand what the doctor was even explaining, but it didn't make sense to me. But I can just share with you facts, because facts do mean something. 2,700,000 surgeries using Rescue. 78 professional sports teams, the best athletes in the world since 2011. Now, for any of you who know athletes, they don't suffer fools and they won't use a product twice if it didn't work the first time. So imagine serving the best athletes in the world for 15 years.
Yeah.
How about warfighters? How about the elite Department of Defense, Special Forces, and Navy SEALs? Since 2013, we have served the elite of the elite. Now that's a $6 million operator. Trust me, this technology is vetted before it goes onto the brain of a Special Forces operator.
Yeah.
But for 14 years, we've been serving that group. So all of these discerning audiences, the FedEx Pilots Union, industry leaders, doctors, celebrities, professional athletes, military, they've been using this for more than a decade, having the same experience that you're having. And yes, you do need to suspend your disbelief. How can listening to something make me feel so good? That's the how to. The why is we just modulated your brain and put it to a spot we know We want you to heal right now, Warrick. We know you want to get home to Australia. We know, for those of you who've never been introduced to Tony Robbins, you have no idea the nuclear reactor of energy that man is and the amount of energy he asks of his audience. I mean, he gives it to you and expects reciprocity. For Warrick to leave that event, not in a body bag, is already an accomplishment. But for him to leave that event and fly 17 hours to Melbourne and then celebrate New Year's, that is the type of behavior we see every day. It is not a miracle and it's not magic. You simply were able to modulate your frequency to put your brain in a state of healing, even though you were on a plane.
Look, Jim, this is absolutely fascinating, and I know that the people listening there'll be things spinning. In fact, their brainwaves are probably right up high, up around 40 odd hertz, trying to follow all this because it's fascinating, and you can't begin to believe the impact this can have on your life once you start to think it through, and then once you start to use it. So I try and run about 20 minutes or thereabouts in these podcasts, so they're not too long. So in the interest of time, what I'd really like to do is ask a couple of final questions, and then I'd like you to talk about how might someone use this app, use this NuCalm system in their own life. But the first thing that comes to mind is if we're doing a rescue, it makes perfect sense for me to be laying down and putting on a mask because I'm trying to recover. It makes perfect sense. But if I'm about to go into war or about to play high-level sport, and I want to ignite and I want to bring my brainwaves right up to that 40.1 hertz?
40 and 41.
Yeah, 40 and 41 hertz. If I want to get them right up there, do I have to be laying down, eyes closed, or can it be done while I'm still just listening and still focusing all at the same time?
Yes. So 2 of the products, Warrick, Focus and Ignite, only a headphone. You can do an in-ear bud if you're working out or over-ear headphone. There's no eye mask, there's no lying down. It's not immersive, it's action-oriented. So Focus takes you to 18.4 hertz. Many people put the headphone on while they're in their office doing paperwork, checking up on emails, and they find themselves really efficient and really intentional and focused. Ignite is mission ready. So say an operator, FBI, whatever, they're about to do a mission. There's a lot of stress associated with mission because you're walking into an unknown and you're walking into probably bad people wanting to do you harm. They'll have in their comms, in their in-ear buds, they'll be playing that Ignite and they will amplify their capability. Now, to me, Warrick, it sounds stressful to get all amped up to go fight, but it's their job.
Yeah.
They actually like having that intensity, their peripheral vision and their musculature. They're just going to rely on their muscle memory and their training. So NuCalm, I know NuCalm sounds too good to be true, okay? But that's only because most people don't understand how their brain works. If you feel mentally lethargic and you have coffee, that wasn't magic. It increased your frequency. If you're having a tough day and you have a glass of wine, that wasn't magic. It slowed down your frequency. Just because we don't know how our brain works and how we manage our brain doesn't mean that this seems any different than coffee, pharmaceuticals, yoga, tai chi, mindfulness. We rely on external stimulation to manage our thinking and our mood and our behavior. We're not even aware of that. This is just a different method using headphones and a mobile app.
Well, I think most people listening would be very comfortable with the idea that breath work, for example, could alter brain waves. That's
Absolutely.
If you like, a no-brainer. I don't want to be guilty of a dad joke, but that's a no-brainer. Look, this is, I really do find this fascinating. If maybe yourself, you're a great example. How do you use NuCalm in a normal day for yourself?
I use it in every aspect of my life, and I've been using it every day for 17 plus years. So at night, with a speaker in my bedroom, not a mobile app speaker, but a speaker, okay? There's over 3 gigabytes of math coming out of one track. And for 8 hours, I sleep like a baby with a speaker in my bedroom listening to a deepest sleep track. When I wake up in the morning, most of the time, Warrick, I've slept so well, I'm good to go. Sometimes I push too hard, and when I wake up, I'm like, I don't really want to be awake today. I don't want to participate. I will not suffer that. I will literally get back in my bed, put rescue on, and for 20 minutes, I will get that recuperative power of 2 hours of restorative sleep. When it's over, I get up and I'm like, wow, I feel amazing. Let's go. Then I start my day, Warrick, with 13 minutes of Ignite. There's an Ignite track that elevates your brain, and it's called Triumphant. It's our ode to Beethoven and Bach. It's not too aggressive, but it puts a smile on my face and it enhances my mood so that I can start my day, because we're a global company, so I always start with international things in the morning. As my day progresses, Warrick, I will put focus on, especially if I'm reading through contracts or things that I don't want to make mistakes on. And then I will go exercise. I'll get on the Peloton. Now, historically, before NuCalm, I would find that my mind would sabotage me and play tricks on, if I had to work out at 3, at 2:30, my brain's trying to tell me all the reasons that I don't have time to go work out at 3. So I learned I'm not even going to listen to that. I'm going to put Ignite on before I even work out, and before I know it, I'm in my bike shorts and on my Peloton. While I'm working out, I'm listening to Ignite. It's increasing my endurance and my strength, and I'm not listening to my body complain about lactic acid in my quads and whatever. So I do my workout. After my workout, I will do a shower, and then I'll do 20 minutes of rescue again. Restore my body. Then I go back to work. Then I have dinner. I go for a walk with my family. And then I go back to work in my office. And then I do deep sleep again at night. So many, many people will tell me that this product is in their life and on their brain and in their brain more than anything else in their life. 10, 12, 13, 14 hours of every day, they're using this to manage how they want to feel, when they want to feel. It's brilliant, and it's so easy.
And Jim, you touched on headphones, you touched on FBI agents with the comms in their ears. Do you use headphones or do you use earbuds? Obviously, you mentioned headphones. And is that a better use? Is that a better way to access that technology rather than earbuds? You mentioned a speaker in bed at night. How loud do people run?
The beauty of what we're doing, remember, this is physics and math and software underneath the music. So it's more about resonance and vibration. Mm-hmm. Volume is inconsequential. Yeah. So if your spouse doesn't like volume, you don't have to have it loud. It just needs to be playing. For the rescue, for power nap, for focus, for Ignite, over-ear headphone is superior to in-ear buds.
Okay.
It's a better experience. There's more capacity and frequency range in the quality of a headphone.
Okay.
Also, you're in cardiology. You're also seeing a lot of people with Lyme disease and immunosuppressive diseases. There seems to be an intolerance to EMFs. So I use a wired headphone.
Yep.
I wire it to my device. Yep. So I'm not really playing around with Bluetooth. I'm not prone to EMFs. I don't seem to have a problem with it, but I also don't want to radiate my brain every time I do it.
Yep.
So a good headphone will create an incredible experience. A mediocre headphone will create a really good experience. There's not a lot of degradation between 99% and 96%. You wouldn't notice, but it is there.
Well, look, Jim, this has been absolutely fantastic. I really appreciate you connecting all the way from Tampa, Florida. I really appreciate you sharing, and I know the people listening will really be turning over their brainwaves, trying to get their head around this. For anyone listening, Jim has already offered that I can provide you with a link that will give you a discount, potentially lifetime. So I will provide that link with this podcast when it comes out. I've got to work through that and get it organized, but I know this podcast will come out a couple of weeks after we've actually done it, so that'll give me the chance to do it. So check out that link if you are interested in purchasing something, and it gives you a real discount. The product is amazing. I've used it myself. Obviously, Jim, you're a devotee and you use it regularly. I think it's amazing technology. It's non-pharmacological. You don't need to be some sort of yogi with the breathwork PhD. You can just plonk these things on and they work. My own experience with the jet lag coming back from the US was astounding. And just to let you know, Jim, I woke up this morning feeling average. And I thought, oh, I don't really, for some reason, I didn't sleep well last night or didn't feel energized. I put a rescue on and here I am feeling actually $1,000,000. So, Jim, thank you once again for joining me. I really do appreciate your sharing. It's been a pleasure actually for me.
Well, thank you for having me, and for everybody listening, take care of yourselves. Stress will get the better of you if you don't take care of stress. It's that simple. And it doesn't have to be NuCalm. It just has to be easy for me and millions of people. But you can be a great meditator. You can be a yogi. You can be a Tai Chi master. You can be a Wim Hof breath expert. It doesn't matter what your path is, but make it a priority if you want to live a nice, long, happy, healthy life.
Thank you once more, Jim. I really do appreciate it. For those listening, I'm always really grateful if you've given your valuable time over to learning. And if I've provided you something that's been valuable, then that is my pleasure. And I'm grateful to be able to do it. Please share and like this. I'm really trying to build some momentum and trying to get good information into people's hands. So check me out on YouTube, share it with some friends, please, because I think the information is incredibly valuable and will help people if we can get it out there. If you do have any queries or questions, drop us a note at drwarrick.online. Oh, I think I might have got that wrong. Anyway, you'll find the email on my website. And until next time, I do wish you the very best. I hope you live as well as possible for as long as possible. Take care and bye for now. Hi, ever wondered what your risk of heart attack is? You should. It's the single biggest killer in the Western world. We're talking one death less than every 30 minutes in Australia, one death less than every 60 seconds in the United States, 9 million deaths globally per annum. Well, how do you check your risk? Well, you can go to www.virtualheartcheck.com.au. You'll find out about your risk and what can be done beyond that to be even more precise.